Okay, we're back down in the engine room, chapter 2, second week. Had a nice Thanksgiving, and we're back down here, about 35 degrees. A little chilly down here, and a little progress here. First, we were able to get this adapter off. You can see it or not. This adapter adapts from the elbow to the exhaust manifold. And that came off pretty easy. It's held on with four recessed bolts, little ones like this, and with an right Allen key, it came right out. And I'll show you a little bit closer. Here's the adapter that goes from the manifold to the riser. You can see it on this engine a little better, right there. And it goes on to the riser, right there. Sitting up here waiting to have a little life. So this was held onto the manifold with four Allen bolts. So it's off. Now we're down to removing the manifold. That's a block-off gasket because this is a freshwater cooled engine, so we've got antifreeze running through the manifold. We got salt water running through the riser. So now we're going to take this manifold off. We've got the bolts out, and Chrysler has, instead of like Chevy having 4 ports, it has 3. Those are the center ports. That's, if you can see it, it's the front port, and here's the back port pair here. If I can find it, there they go. So when you look at the 6 bolts, the end ones are studs, the other 4 are bolts, and I guess their idea was that if you wanted to remove it or install it, you could take the bolts out, take the nuts off the end of the studs, and slide the manifold off the engine on the studs on the end. It's a good trick to use when you're doing the Chevy marine exhaust manifolds too. Just run studs in the end and then slide the manifold on and off on the studs. So I'm going to try to do that now and see if I can pop that manifold off. It weighs about 50 pounds, so it's not going to be fun to handle. Okay, there's the manifold off, and you can see the 2 studs that they were resting on. One there and one there. It comes off really easy once you break it loose. And I guess I'll take it home and remove these fittings. That fitting I'd like to save if I could, and this one down here I'd like to save. That one formerly went to the thermostat housing right there. That had to come off as well. So these will come right out, I think, now. And that one will come right out. The other one's going to take a little persuasion. And there's the rest of the antifreeze coming out of the cylinder head and running in the bilge. So our bilge won't freeze this year anyway. Not that it ever has. Looking at the manifold kind of closely now that I've got it off, it's in really good shape. We have no idea when these were ever changed before, but just thought it was a good idea, since we're going to do the cylinder heads, to change the manifolds at the same time. I mean, it's what everybody does. But looking inside these things, I don't know if you can see, but there's no rust at all. There's discoloration from exhaust, but absolutely no rust. This manifold has freeze plugs in it, brass freeze plugs that are in good shape. I don't know if I can show you this or not, but you look down inside there. There's no rust at all. So I think we're going to save ourselves about $650, and reinstall these guys when we're finished with this job. They just look too good to throw away. I can't see any rust at all inside them. And they're pretty simple. There's not a lot of plumbing. So let's put this aside and clean up our work area a little bit here. Just see on the outside is old gaskets. Scrape those off obviously and refinish those surfaces. Just cleaning up the work area here a little bit with our favorite. These are puppy pads. They're meant for training puppies, picking up pee. And when you flip them around and open them up like this, they absorb an enormous amount of liquid. And we use them for cleaning up. It's an invention from Frances. She buys them at Ocean State Job Lot. A whole big couple boxes of them for next to nothing. We find them really useful. So before we leave, put these things down, absorb the antifreeze and stuff that we filled, kind of clean up the work area a little bit. And really works good. So we were worried about getting the stud off of that manifold, and it turns out with 6-point sockets rather than 12-point, we bought a small set of 6-point sockets at Harbor Freight on the recommendation of a friend, and the 6-point sockets do a great job of taking out the rounded heads of those bolts. You must remember never to use 12-point sockets again on a job like this. 6-point sockets really work great. So we've got the cabin inside there up to about 42 degrees now, so it's like tropic in there. Really nice. And I think we're going to probably start our cleanup right now. A lot of stuff to clean up.